What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Blizzcon 2013. I am Isaac Azale Cummings-Bentley, joined once again with my buddy. We got Josh Allen, a.k.a. Lore here. How
What's
you
up?
doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Been seeing some amazing arena matches lately. I don't know about you.
You know, I've seen a couple. It's not too bad. We're doing pretty well here. Hoping for some closer matches here. Hopefully, this upcoming match is going to provide that for us. You know, this is definitely what we had highlighted as, well, at least for myself, as the first round matchup that's the most interesting out of either group. So I think this is a very competitive match that we're going to be heading into. It is going to be LGIM going up against PvP-Live, so it should be pretty sick. But before we get to that, we are going to take a little look at the tournament format for those of us who have just tuned in now. You know, maybe they missed it, maybe they're in the washroom. So anyway, we do have teams randomly seeded into the 2 groups of 4. We had the double elim bracket for both of those groups as well. The top 2 teams going to be moving on into the semifinals tomorrow, where they will be competing in a single elimination bracket. All matches are going to be best of 5 starting on the Grand Arena, and it will be then losers pick format. And time limit's 15 minutes. Dampening kicks in at 5. Haven't hit a time limit yet, and gotta say I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's been really, really great to see these matches ending in kills. It's always a little bit disappointing when the time runs out and it's like, oh, what if the match had gone on for a little bit longer? Who would have won? Who would have lost? You never know. In this case, that hasn't happened once. All of these matches have ended with a decisive victory from at least one of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit anticlimactic when it ends on a timeout and things like that. So this is a lot more fun, and I like the system. I have to say, it's been working out quite well. So far, I think we're doing pretty well on our predictions and stuff. You know, Mir didn't put up as much of a fight against his skill capped as I thought they were going to, but overall, we were pretty much right on who got out of Group A. So far, things are kind of looking par for the course in Group B as well. And we are going to check out that Group B bracket, show you guys exactly what's been going on there so far. We are just kind of kicking off Group B. We're only 1 match in, but you can get an idea of who the teams are and what all you're going to see today, because we are finishing out all of Group B today, I do believe, and just the semis and the finals are going to be tomorrow. So it is going to be Bleach Bones having taken down LKD. And I mean, honestly, that series, it was another kind of clean sweep, but there was some really, really close calls. And I think that, like, had they really changed up their strategy a little bit, I think they could have done better. You know, Jared and Adam were talking about going for the Druid. Personally, I think they should have trained the pet. I think they should have trained the Warlock pet. And, it might sound a little bit silly, but you actually can kill off those Fell Hunters almost instantly with, it's even good to pop cooldowns on them, like Orb Deep and everything. You can erase that Fell Hunter like that. Yeah. If you catch a Warlock without Soul Link for very long, you kill 2 pets in quick succession, it can be pretty powerful. So, it would have been interesting to see had they gone for a different strategy like that. But, they had their own idea about it. Maybe if they meet them again, they'll change things up. Yeah,
well, I mean, if you look back at how those matches actually played out, sure, it was a 3-0, but there were some very, very close calls in every single one of those matches. And it almost always came down to just that little tiny bit of extra CC on the Paladin. And so killing that pet would have it would cut out one of those blanket silences that he would have been able to throw out. And that would have... I don't know that it would have made the difference overall, but it definitely would have helped quite a bit.
Yeah, I have to say, not only were they blanket silences, but Flexac was pretty much landing every single spell lock. He was doing an awesome job, and not only just on regular casts, but it was all the fast casts. And that's one of the things that the players like to talk about here is that they're playing with such low ping that these players, who are admittedly very quick, are not missing these casts. So players have to adjust their playstyle a little bit. It's like, Druid's playing with Soul of the Forest, for example. A lot of times on live servers, they just don't even bother to fake, because with latency, you have Soul of the Forest clones. It's so fast that most people are just going to miss it. Here, you're playing a higher caliber of player. You're playing players with next to no latency. And it puts you in a position where you have to rethink that. Maybe you should be faking that, even the fast casts and things like that. So it's definitely something that maybe he'll want to adjust moving forward. But, credit to Bluckstack for being able to land those.
Yeah, and that just kind of ties into the same thing, that sort of the theme that we've been discussing every so often this whole tournament so far, is just how different it is to play in a tournament environment compared to playing at home, sitting at home, playing on live servers, doing all that sort of thing. And there's just all these tiny subtle little differences, even something as small as, now I have a 20 millisecond latency instead of a 60 millisecond latency. That's something that can make a huge difference in terms of things like being able to juke interrupts and so on.
Well, for some of the players, it's a much bigger difference than that. I mean, Channel, for example, coming from Australia, playing on North American servers, you're going to have a hefty chunk of latency there. And, and a lot of players, even for myself, I play on Tichondrius. It's a Southwest server, and I'm in Northeast, I'm in Canada, so it's on East Coast Canada. So it's like, even for someone like me who plays, on North American, you have a fair bit of latency, and that's the case for a lot of the players here. So, it can be a pretty big difference, it's kind of cool to see a lot of players actually say when they first start playing with good latency, it's actually harder. It's weird because it's like when you have enough latency, for example, you can clip cast, like you can stop the cast before it actually finishes on the bar because that little bit of delay means that it's like already going through.
Yeah.
So like Chanimal was saying how he's trying to lay down his port and he keeps moving before cast is finished because he thinks it's going to finish, and it's just like interrupting himself over and over. So it's just little things like that, and but he's like, whoa, now that I'm used to it, it's so easy to spell lock people. Like this is great. This is whatever. This is how it's supposed to be. So it's interesting to see the adjustments and how all that stuff does go down. But these little things can make such a big difference, like we talked about. And everyone wants such a big piece of this prize pool. So we're going to take a little look at the prize breakdown. There's about $190,000 in prizes. First place going to be taking home cool $105,000 in cash. Second place,
a little bit of pocket money, nothing big.
Not too bad, man. Second place, $45K. Third and fourth, going home. They didn't win, but they're walking home with about $20,000. Not too shabby either. Obviously, the prizes are going to be split between the players, but still, $35K each for first. Pretty sick. Yeah, that is something that's very, very hard to be upset about yourself with when you're walking home with 35 grand for playing World of Warcraft. Yeah, not too bad. Not to mention the trophies, the pride, everything pretty awesome about that. Shout out to the fans having some fun there, investing around a little bit. See, this guy's having a good time. He's liking it. He's dancing for us. And, shout out to all the fans here showing up, being enthusiastic. We definitely appreciate it, guys. So, give yourselves a round of applause. Maybe it should be a good one because it is for yourself. Yeah. Don't slack. Yeah, this crowd has been amazing this entire time. Just hearing the cheers and the sort of oohs and ahs whenever somebody gets low on health and they just barely manage to survive, or when they die, and it's been absolutely incredible being here casting in front of this crowd. Yeah, it's been sick. So definitely grateful to be here. I had a little bit of a chance in the downtime to kind of wander around a little bit, and there's a lot of other cool stuff going on. Obviously, there's StarCraft, we got Hearthstone, we have playable demos. There's all kinds of cool stuff that you can check out. So you should take some time as well. If you're here in the fans, maybe there's some downtime between the matches. You should go check out some other stuff because there's BlizzCon has a lot to offer. Yeah, it's definitely been my favorite convention to ever attend, and there's just so much to do, so much to walk around and see. It's honestly, it's too much sometimes. So it's really great to just take some time and wander around and just do everything that you can. Yeah, it's awesome. And guys, remember, if you want to get involved in the conversation, #BlizzCon on Twitter. You can also tweet to me if you'd like. I'm at UGSL on Twitter, and I am at Devolore on Twitter. That's DEVOLORE. There you go. So you guys can let us know who you think is going to be able to take this match, who you think is going to take the tournament, favorite teams, favorite part about BlizzCon, doesn't matter. Feedback, whatever. We're interested in hearing. It's always fun getting involved with people on Twitter, hearing from the people at home. Here we have a bit of a chance to interact with the fans that are here, but not everyone is fortunate enough to be here with us. So it's fun to be able to interact with everyone hanging out back home as well. Hopefully you guys are, all curled up, watching some WoW, having some popcorn, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So anyway, what would your predictions be for this match? I mean, we're looking at two teams. Technically their main comps are we have Monk, Warlock, Shaman versus a Mage, Warlock, Shaman. But the thing is, it's like, is Thugonomics really gonna play Warlock? Is he gonna play Warrior? Yeah. Novos plays a Mage and an Ellie. I'm thinking we would probably see Thugonomics on the Warrior. Probably see Novos still on that Ellie. So Monk, Ellie, Warrior going up against MLS, I would imagine. But the Koreans also play Mage, Druid. They also play, I believe they have a Warrior mixed in there. So they have some things that can be changed up. But I'm guessing we'll just see MLS from the Koreans. The Koreans in general are not people that really have been countercomping a lot historically. Just throughout WoW and stuff, it seems like the teams they're very, I'm stumbling over my words. They're very perfectionist, you know what I mean? They want to have the one comp, they want to play it perfectly, and they're firm believers that if you do anything well enough, you can kind of overcome the comp advantages and things like that. So I'm guessing we'll see them on MLS. I don't think that we're going to see them mixing it up too much, but PvP-Live, I think they're a bit of a wild card there because they have a lot of good setups that they can run. I mean, having played Monk, Ellie, Warrior myself, I think it's quite a strong comp, and it's extremely tanky. Like, one of the things that's kind of deceptive about it, people are like, well, that doesn't sound like that powerhouse of a comp, and maybe it isn't, but the thing is, it's deceptively good because it's like, who do you really kill? You have a Mistweaver Monk. That's pretty hard to kill with Dematerialize. You have a Shaman, you have to get through, Shaman Wall and everything like that. And, he's able to keep his Monk out of CC very well. Warrior sitting in D stance is extremely tanky as well. So it's three targets that are all very, very hard to kill. And it's a comp that you can, even if you're not really like doing the best in the matchup, you can kind of ride it out till dampening and someone to survive and then have a really good pressure like that. And people really kind of underestimate how much consistent pressure Ellie's can put out. Like, people talk about Ellie burst, and it is really high, but when Ellie, he's doing a good job keeping Flameshock up on everyone, as Novos obviously is going to be, as he's one of the very best, can actually put out a lot of DPS as well. And I mean, it's actually good consistent pressure, can have very high burst, and a lot of sustainability. So it's like, what more do you really want from a comp?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of we look at Elemental Burst, and one of the big things about it is that it just sort of happens sometimes as part of their main rotation. Obviously, there are cooldowns. There's everything else that goes along with it, but there's still those big chunks of burst, and it's really just part of them putting. It's really just part of them putting out their normal damage rotation, and sometimes there's just those little spikes in there, in with everything, which can be hard to keep up with for a lot of healers.
Yeah, definitely. So, and, at the same time, MLS, we haven't really talked that much about it. It is a very strong comp. It's, in my opinion, kind of the most offensive caster comp. You don't really want to turtle that much on it. You don't really want to sit around that much on it, because shamans in general are they're kind of very susceptible to getting killed. Oh, there we go. Have a big LGIM Korea fan.
Nice.
And yeah, so it's like, it's very, very offensive. It's kind of like one of the more fast-paced wizard-type comps. A lot of people talk about them being really slow and blah, blah, blah. But MLS is setup-oriented, but it is pressure-oriented as well. You have the mastery from a shaman, it's for a warlock. It's like 8% more damage. That's like, like a whole full tier of gear. It's like a new season of gear almost.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And, you have shocks, you have grounding, you have tremor. So it's like they're able to keep you pretty offensive. You have triple interrupts. So, if you're coordinating very well with your CC, with your interrupts, you can kind of snowball pressure sometimes, and it gets a little bit out of control.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is a little bit of a shared diminishing return on Hex and Polymorph in this particular comp, but it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you can throw the Hex on an off target or throw it even on your DPS target. I mean, it's just enough to interrupt them just for a second, just to be able to finish them off. There's lots of ways that you can actually use this stuff. The diminishing return doesn't actually have that big of a factor in that case, I don't think.
Yeah, I would agree. So, we are just waiting for these teams to obviously to get ready and everything, and as soon as they are ready, we'll start moving towards there. But hopefully he's okay in the crowd there. Hopefully no serious injuries have been sustained.
Yeah.
Nothing beside the ego. Maybe a little bit damaged there, but
maybe a little. I'm really curious what actually, I don't think I really want to know what the V stands for, but you never know. Maybe it stands for like Victor or something. He's Victor Man. Victory Man. There we go.
That's
Victory
possible.
Man. Yes. I've solved the case.
But, we've chatted enough. I'm sure you guys are sick of our faces. So we're going to head over to Zoe at the stage for the team introductions.
Thank you very much, guys. And I'm now pleased to introduce to you our next two teams to go up against each other. And we're going to start with the ones on their home turf from North America, placing second in their region. Please, a warm applause for PvP-Live. I see they got their fans ready. So, and their opponents from Korea, please, a big warm applause for LGIM. And that's going to be the next match in Group B. So please, Novos as well as Avengers, stay with me. The others, please take your seat on your desks. And we're going to ask you some quick questions before we get that game rolling. Let's start with you, Novos. A lot of people have heard of your opponents. A lot of people would peg them as one of the teams who could potentially cause an upset. What is your opinion on that Korean team?
Definitely not something to underestimate. I mean, Korean teams have been top 4 in every single Blizzcon at this point. But we're pretty confident against their comp, so I'm not really that worried.
Well, we can't wait to see how it's going to play out for you. So let's look at the other side. Avenger, you made yourself a name throughout the whole wide world. People know you. People know your team now as well. How confident are you?
사람들이 이제 당신의 이름을 알고 자기 팀을 이제 넌 세계에 알릴 텐데 얼마나 자신감 있고 지금 기분이 어떤지.
기분 되게 좋고요. 자신감은 이기고 보여드릴게요.
I feel really great and my confidence is full enough.
All right, that's what we want to hear. Gentlemen, please shake hands up here in front. Shaking hands, we practiced that. There we go. Thank you very much. Please take a seat. We're going to get that second game, no, the first game of that match going. And for that, I'm going to go over to our casters again.
Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you didn't miss us too much. Thank you for those intros, Zoe. And I can't wait, man. I have to say that I am kind of a little bit of a fan of the Korean team. I'm kind of I'm friends with those guys. When I was over in Korea, I got to hang out with the Avenger. He's a really nice guy, and he's been to BlizzCon a couple times. I'm hoping that he does well. He's said, like, they're so nice. I just want them to do well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, LGIM is a name that's been like throughout esports for ages now.
Yeah.
Like they're just well known at being very, 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 very serious about like practice and just doing incredibly well and everything. And it's hard to ever like look at any team that has LGIM attached to it and go, oh yeah, whatever. It's just no, it's LGIM. Like they take this sort of thing very seriously.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, we are going to check out who the players on these teams are. With PvP-Live up first, the second place team from North America. We're going to have Novos on the Shaman, Danny Carey playing the Monk, and Thugonomics on the Warlock.
Yeah, it's very interesting that Danny Carey, not only the only monk in the tournament, but also playing Mistweaver. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how he matches up with everyone else. That's a class that we really just haven't seen a whole lot of people doing a whole lot with, but Danny Carey is obviously making it work.
Yeah, definitely. You do see a lot more people these days playing it, but more as kind of like a secondary healer, as an option that's very strong against cleaves. But without further ado, we are going to introduce the first place South Korean team. It is LGIM. We have Avenger playing the Mage, Schottky on the Shaman, and Nuker going to be holding it down on the Warlock.
Yeah, and one interesting thing to point out there is that Nuker on the Warlock is actually new to this team. Avenger and Schottky have played together a lot in the past, but they did have to pick up a new Warlock in the relatively recent past, I believe.
Yep.
So it's actually kind of interesting because both teams are kind of doing like that. Like Thugonomics and Novos have played together a lot in the past, but Danny Carey is a relative newcomer as well. So both teams are two veterans and a newcomer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Adukin, big shoes to fill there for Nuker.
Oh,
We'll see
yeah.
how he's going to be able to do. Adukin, in my opinion, is the best Destro Lock, or at least he was. I'm not sure if he's still playing, but he kind of just dominated that spec. He was extremely impressive, and the coordination that LGIM showed at BWC in China was incredible. They were very, very, very good. And, in my opinion, playing kind of Destro was the much weaker spec compared to Demo, but they made it work, and you could see they made it work because they were so damn good at it. So it was definitely impressive, and it'll be interesting to see if Destro comes out at all from Nuker. I don't think it will. In my opinion right now, I feel like Affliction is by far the best of the three specs. It's the most competitive, it's the most consistent, so I don't think we'll see that, but it is a possibility with Mage Warlock. You can sometimes play it because there's strategies that you can play. It's a very different play style. It's much less pressure-based as the Warlock, in my opinion. You have to do things like you save up your flags, you don't use them for backdraft, you wait for deep freeze, and you can't count on getting that cast bolt off. It's so hard to get off with all the interrupts out there. So you have to play it more like you put out the deep freeze, you demon soul, you pop your trinket, double flag, backflash, fell flames. You hope they get into Shadowrun range, because if someone's in Shadowrun range, you can they're dead.
Oh yeah.
With the demon soul up, if that crits, you're done. There's almost no living it. So
yeah, that is a lot of damage that can go out in a hurry on anybody that's underneath 20% from a Destro Warlock. And I believe I actually saw Thugonomics on his stream not too long ago playing Destro a little bit as well. I don't know if he's planning on doing any of that today. Like you were saying earlier, it's a lot more likely that he'll play as Warrior for this, but I don't know, maybe it's a possibility as well.
It's definitely possible. I mean, he has played a lot of Destro. He's definitely more known for his strength as a Destro Warlock rather than UA. He really kind of stuck to Destro for a long time.
Yeah.
But with the change to Kill Jaden's Cunning, it became a lot harder to get those Chaos Bolts off. Without the run cast, it's a lot more difficult. And Destro's kind of an interesting spec because, in my opinion, it's a spec that it kind of gets worse the higher rated you get. So it's like, I could be playing with a couple of friends playing Destro, relatively low rating, and it seems incredibly powerful. You're like, wow, because you're just like two-shotting people, and people aren't really adept at using their cooldowns at the right time. They're not getting the interrupts off or avoiding the Chaos Bolts, things like that. But the higher rated you get, the better players get at recognizing Demon Soul instantly. You get MCS, you get Sheep, you get LOS, you get Pummeled, you get Stunned, whatever it is, they're going to spam. Every team freaks out when a Destro Lock Demon Souls and they shut you down. So it becomes very, very hard to get that off, especially without the run cast. Because with run cast, at least there's little tricks you could do. Like, for example, you're standing by a pillar, you pop out, start the run cast, go back behind the pillar, and then right before it's about to go off, you pop back out and it goes off. So you can't be interrupted really very easily there. So there are some little ticks and things like that, or if someone's going around the pillar, you can kind of chase them with it, but can't do that anymore. So, as a result, it has become a lot less popular. But it's not without its merits. As we said, Mage Burst plus Destro throwing it a little bit can get them into Shadowburn range, and that's really all you need.
Yeah, it's definitely a very high risk, high reward play style. If you get off the Chaos Bolt, then that's a ton of damage that just went out. It's just very, very hard to actually cast the thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, we'll have to look out for that, but I would expect it to just be Frost Affliction. That's pretty standard. It's it's very strong, and it's probably going to be what they've practiced more than anything by far. So, really, the big question here is just what. Is Novos and Thugonomics and Danny Carey going to play? Because, they could do Mage, they could do Ellie, they could do Warrior, they could do Warlock. So As I said, I think it's going to be Ellie. I think it's going to be Warrior, but there are no guarantees.
Yeah, that Ellie, Warrior, and Monk combo, it's just like sort of throwing the Monk in there. It sort of messes with the whole synergy of things a little bit for the other team. Like, what do you do with the Monk? What do you try and chase him down? He's just going to roll all over the place. He's got so many CC breaks and everything as well. Like, it's actually really hard to lock down a Monk. So what do you do with that? Do you go after the Warrior? Do you go after the Elemental? Like, what exactly do you do in that case?
Yeah, it's definitely a hard decision, and one of the kind of unique things about Monks is they're actually one of the strongest offensive healers. Just with Jade Lightning, it's actually crackling Jade Lightning, I guess it is.
Oh yeah,
it does actually a ton of damage, and also blackout kick and stuff like that. If you jab before it, you get that buff. You can actually do massive blackout kicks. So I mean that's less common because you have to be right up in there. But it's definitely not uncommon to see Danny Carey rolling in offensively, getting a leg sweep, using imp hamstring and stuff. I'm not sure exactly what the Monk thing is called.
Disable.
Okay, disable. Yeah, because I just always call it imp hamstring. But anyway, but yeah, getting the roots out. They can play very offensively, and it's like if you get in there, you get a leg sweep, you get a para from behind off a leg sweep. You like on the healer, for example, you can then imp hamstring the DPS or whatever, hold them in LOS for your teammates, and they can be very, very strong offensively. Also, you can play obviously Chi Torpedo and things like that, but Zuen adds a lot of damage as well, so they can be extremely strong. It's almost like a third DPS.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring up leg sweep because that's something that really only came into heavy practice very recently. For a long time, you saw so many people using Ring of Peace instead, and it's weird. It actually got like slightly buffed in 5.4, but still sort of fell off a little bit. So it's interesting to see how that is just sort of like a metagame shift that's gone on as time has gone on. People go, the stun is just actually more useful than the silence or whatever.
Yeah, well, and one of the big issues was just they changed how DRs worked with Ring of Peace, so it's like Ring of Peace DR'd with itself, and last patch it hadn't. So that's one of the big real issues with it. But it can still be strong in some situations. It just depends on what kind of a comp you're playing. If you're playing a stun-heavy comp, it still sometimes can be very useful. These days it's used more offensively than defensively, kind of like as a blanket counterspell. So, for example, if you're playing, with a Warrior and they're playing, Shockwave Stormbolt or something like that, you can do Shockwave Stormbolt and then you Ring of Peace the Warrior on their healer or whatever, and then that gives the 3-second blanket silence on top of that. So it can be used offensively like that, which is pretty cool. So yeah, monks really do have a lot of variety. They bring a lot to the teams, and I'm excited to see how they're going to be able to do and how Danny Carey's going to play this. And the teams are just making sure everything's ready right now. It does look like they're going to be playing Ellie, Warrior, Monk, which is pretty much what we expected. It does look like it's going to be MLS from a Korean team as well, but we're still just waiting to get their confirmation that everything's good. Maybe they want to do a war game, test out their binds and everything like that, make sure that nothing got messed up. Because I'm not sure if they're actually just like copying the WTF folders over to the main computers, or if they're bringing different computers over. Sometimes they do different things at BlizzCon, but
I'm not sure.
If you're actually changing to a different PC, then you definitely want to make sure your sensitivity is right, your mouse accels right. There's so many little settings, so. Definitely going to be making sure that nothing is going wrong. But as we've said, we're going to be starting off on the Grand Arena, guys, and thank you for tuning in. I don't see the Twitch numbers right now, but I have seen it's been up to around 50K and stuff, which is quite nice. So thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully you guys are having a good time. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and hopefully we're going to have some closer series moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely if we're going to have a closer series, this is where it's going to start for sure. These two teams, as we've spoken about this a whole bunch at this point, but they're definitely very, very closely matched, I think, overall. It's kind of like, I feel like personally, for me, this kind of leans slightly in favor of PvP-Live.
I would think so.
But not by a landslide at all. Yeah. Not something that I would be willing to sit down and go, okay, yeah, absolutely, PvP-Live is going to win this. LGIM is definitely capable of taking this series.
I think it would be a minor upset if LGIM won, but it's not without the realm of possibility. It's something crazy. I definitely think that they're going to be competitive regardless. I think that PvP-Live should win, but I don't know that. It's not guaranteed, like you said.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you. Are you a StarCraft guy?
Yes, actually. I used to actually shoutcast StarCraft.
Oh, there you go. So any big fan favorites? Who do you want to win the tournament here, or do you know who do you think's going to win the tournament here?
Man, I've been so caught up in WoW arenas this whole day so far. I'm actually completely not certain what the standings are like on the StarCraft team or the StarCraft team right now.
We'll give this as a disclaimer. Assuming just from the start.
Just from the start, I did hear that Naniwa was having some trouble, and he would have been my personal favorite. I don't know if he's still in the running or not, but it definitely. I was a Protoss player myself, or still am technically. I tend to watch a lot more StarCraft than I actually play.
That's cool.
But Yeah.
Well, anyway, we are all queued up, guys. We're ready to get this rolling. And let's give a cheer for these two teams. It's going to be PvP-Live going up against LGIM. We're going to have Danny Carey on that Mistweaver Monk. Thugonomics is going to be playing the Arms Warrior. Novos holding it down on the Ellie Shaman. Going to be going up against LGIM. That's Shotki on the Shaman. We have Nuker on that Warlock, and it's going to be Avenger playing the Mage. Nuker going to be playing Soul Link. And I think he's going to be in for a world of hurt because I think they're going to train the pet start to finish. That is the NA playstyle. And I think we're going to see an example of what I thought should have been done in that last match. So here we go. We're going to be starting things off. We'll find out if they're going to be going straight for that pet. We see the deep freeze immediately out on Thugonomics to guarantee that gate. Nice job there. We are going to have Thugonomics charging in, though. He's going to be on Nuker. Will he be switching over to that pet? Looks like he wants to go an Avenger for now. And he's going to be putting out quite a lot of damage here. He goes into D-stance, realizes he's being pulled into an awkward spot. So smart play there. Temporal Shield's going to be popped here by Thugonomics. There's the offensive Ring of Peace, so he will be playing Ring of Peace. He's back in battle with that offensive silence. Avenger's not able to blink away there. Going to be taking a lot of damage. Now the blink comes out here, but Avenger going to drop that Nova. Zuen has been popped here as well. Danny Carey into the Sheep. The Howl gets overlapped, unfortunately. Novos has trinketed. He probably trinketed to Tremor there, but I'm not quite sure. Thugonomics now taking a little bit of damage, but the Ring of Frost is down. Avenger doing well, kiting here, and Shocky pretty high on mana.
Yeah, for sure. This is already looking to be a pretty even match. We're not seeing any like super risky plays out of either team. We're not seeing anybody really getting dropped super low. I mean, Avenger's been a little bit low for a while now, but nothing too scary. He is out in the middle, taking a whole bunch of damage, getting punched a whole bunch right now, but doesn't appear to actually be getting hurt very much.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, but he has popped his major cooldowns. I did see Wreck up there, I do believe, and there's an offensive Ring of Peace once again. A little bit too late, though, as Avenger was already away. He already used his blink, so he's going to be taking some damage, but they're going to use that gateway, and I think that Thugonomics does not have Heroic Leap available, so he's going to have to swap it over onto Nuker. Nuker going to be able to fake that pummel there. Nice job by him. Now trying to fake again, and he is going to be able to do it. We do see the MCS coming out. I'm surprised they have not touched his pet just yet, but Nuker getting pretty low. They're going to have parked both Dark Regen and Hellstone, and Avenger at the same time going to be swapped over onto, we see Temporal coming up. We do have Danny Carey down about half mana, but Shocky's a little bit lower than that. Going to have to pop the Spiritual, that run casting, and we do see that Avenger going to have to trinket there, digging a lot of damage once again. Did pop his Temporal, has that Earth Shield, but he's getting chased down by this Warrior, and he's getting relatively low here. Novus at the same time taking some damage, but Avenger forced into that Ice Block. Going to give Danny Carey the time to top him back off as he pops his Aura Mastery. Yeah,
Danny Carey actually managed to get behind the pillar and actually get a few charges of Manatee off in the middle of that, which is going to put him ahead on mana versus Shocky. This sort of matchup, it can easily turn into a mana game, especially once we start getting deeper and deeper into the time limit, and it should dampening ever come into play. But Avenger's still taking a whole lot of damage. Obviously does not have Ice Block available.
And here's the para. Danny Carey going offensive, but he didn't get caught by the Sheep. No interrupt coming out for that. The Hex going to come out as well. There's the cross CC. It's a 3v1 on Thugonomics. He's got to get out of there. He does leap behind the pillar, but he's going to be taking a lot of damage. We see the parry pop, but is it too late? Last Stand comes out. Second Wind is up there. Novo's got to do some healing as well. Danny Carey did trinket, but he's into the fear, and he's getting a lot of trouble here. Thugonomics, the last Stand's going to expire here. Shield Wall is up, but will it be enough? He's down at 40k HP. The MCS on Danny Carey. Can they take him down right here? It doesn't look like it. He's actually going to disarm Avenger. A misclick there from Thugonomics. The Death Coil coming out onto Danny Carey. Novos taking some pressure here as well. He's almost doomed. LGIM turning up the heat here in game one.
Yeah, definitely. That was some pretty intense burst that was coming out there for just a second. I actually thought Novos was going to get a hard swap there for a second and be in a worse shape than he actually was. Avenger now still taking a whole lot of damage. They've been really all over Avenger.
Here's the deep freeze, though. The Hex comes out onto Novos. There's the CS onto Danny Carey. Thugonomics taking some serious damage there, but Danny Carey's on top of the note now, though. The full Sheep lands. Can they chase after him? They're going to swap it over onto Novos, it looks like, who once again still low on mana. The full Howl coming out. Is Danny Carey going to will that note? Tremor going to be dropped there by Novos very quickly. Nice job by him, but Novos, taking some damage once again. Nuker now going to be the target. His Hellstone, his Dark Region should be back up soon. We can see it's about 10 seconds until that is back up, so he should be fine. Danny Carey doing a good job avoiding CC, and Shocky, this is huge. He's going for a drink.
Yeah, he actually did manage to get a whole bunch of mana back from that. Danny Carey, though, just got a whole lot of Manatee charges that he was able to consume as well. So both healers just sort of not quite getting to that point where they're running on fumes, but they are very much having to consider their mana at this entire point.
Here's the deep freeze and the MCS. They're looking to get that damage going on Thugonomics, but the coil going to come off that. Hallow Tear out on Danny Carey. Looks like there's no Tremor, but he is going to get cap stunned off that. Nice job by Shocky. The offensive Ring of Peace coming out once again, and I guess the frame's just bugged for Shocky. It seems, I think it's just frozen, but anyway, we are going to have him chasing after Nuker here. Nuker taking a fair bit of damage, but he is going to be over onto Avenger now, and Avenger going to pop that Temporal Shield. We do see that Zuen was popped out. we are going to have Nuker as once again the target here for Thugonomics. Thugonomics looking to get as much pressure out on him as he can. Still not hitting that pet, which I would love to see, but I'm surprised that they're not going for it. Deep Freeze now coming out onto Danny Carey. There's the dematerialize. Is there anything off that? Full poly there by Avenger. Nuker, though, forced to use the healing cooldowns. There's the lead from Thugonomics. He's going to go defensive as it was a 3v1 once again. The Halatier comes off, though. Is there anything for that on Danny Carey? The Sheep is up as well. They're going to look for the Deep Freeze, perhaps. The ring comes down. They're caught in that. Will did come out from Danny Carey as well. Thugonomics going to be charging back onto Avenger. It looks like they have weathered that storm for now.
Yeah, and we are just about to hit the 5-minute mark in this game, so dampening will begin to start ramping up here very, very shortly. And that's going to make a huge difference here because these teams have both been just sort of holding on by a thread at several points in this match already.
Yep, and Avenger now looking to get the damage going on to Novos. Novos still low mana, but he seems to be fine, and a big heal just lands there on Avenger from Shocky, you know, keeping him out of that ice block. They're doing a good job so far, but look at the damage on Novos, down to 200k. The Sheep is out onto Danny Carey. They're trying to put the pressure back onto Avenger, though, turn things around here. Thugonomics, though, it could be in a little bit of trouble as the Deep Freeze is going to come out. It looks like it may, as he is getting rotted down quite a bit, and he's chasing in pretty deep here. The Lava Burst coming out, though, onto Avenger, and he does have these icicles saved up, so is he going to gate out, or is he going to go for the kill? We'll have to find out here. Danny Carey doing a good job keeping his team topped off. He is a little bit low on mana, but he does have some T, and you are going to see his mana going back up as a result of that. Avenger, though, down to 130k. He's in the Shockwave. Is he going to gate out of here? No, he has to ice block.
Yeah, that was a good ice block there, I think, overall. His healer is almost out of mana. He needs to do anything he can to just avoid taking those scary amounts of damage and keep his... Shocky's down to under 20k or almost under 20k mana. That's a scary situation for a Resto Shaman to be in.
Yeah, there is the fear on Danny Carey. Going to be Tremor, though, once again. Offensive Ring of Peace coming out there. MCS on Novos taking quite a bit of damage here, actually. Novos in some trouble, 200k. There's the all cooldowns being popped here, though, by Thugonomics. AoE Spell Reflect going up for that Sheep. Is he going to be able to get it? Doesn't look like it, but Avenger may just go down. He's going to get out of there. Heroically not available, it seems. He's actually going to charge over to the Water Ellie and then decide better of that. He's going to go back onto Nuker, but he will get Blood Horde. It does look like Danny Carey, you know, getting that mana T, but Shocky, he is and he is hurting on mana. He's got to get a drink off here. He's going to sit down. Are they going to be able to get it off? This is huge. He needs this. They need to defend him, but Thugonomics trying to get over there, and he is going to get quite a bit of mana back. He gets about 60k back, which is very, very important for them.
Yeah, that was a lot of mana that he was able to get back from there. Just were not able to get over there and interrupt that drink in time. Does get another fear out from Thugonomics there, and it looks like our frames are actually having a little bit of an issue here right now. Looks like lots of damage coming in the middle. There's the Spirit Link Totem going out, going to equalize everybody's health, but there's a Frost Orb out there as well. It's a little bit hard to tell exactly what's going on at the moment, but there's so much everything happening everywhere right now.
Yeah, there's the coil onto Danny Carey. They need to get that CC out, and they know it. You know, Shocky still maintaining. I think his mana is accurate. I'm not really sure. But anyway, there's the Hex onto Novos. Danny Carey does pop the Will there. We are seeing them to try to go over onto Novos now. And I'm not sure if players are getting lag in game or what exactly is going on here. But anyway, we do see that Nuker once again going to be the target. Thugonomics charging over onto him, going to be back over to that gateway, and they're just going to swap off. You can see the pet getting pretty low there for Nuker. It's down about 10% HP. Hasn't been finished off just yet. Shocky going to throw a heal over onto it. He's actually going to soul burn a new pet, I think, before his last one died. So a little bit weird there. But Danny Carey put into the Deep Freeze. Is there a fear coming off that? Looks like it's going to be a casted fear. He's trying to fake that pummel. He will be able to. The fear is going to land on Danny Carey. Has no will, has no trinket, but he is going to get tremored there by Novos. Novos going to be MCS. A little bit too late to deny that tremor. Avenger now down to about half HP. Para comes out onto Shocky, who has gotten a lot of mana, but look at Avenger. He can go down here. He's going to gate out of there by 10,000 HP. Avenger in a lot of trouble. Here comes the Warrior. Execute's going to come in, and Avenger is going to go down.
Wow, there were so many cases where Avenger got so low and was able to use that Warlock Portal to get himself to a safe location and stay alive, but it just did not fall through for him that time. He was not able to get far enough away. Thugonomics all over him and just finished him off.
Yeah, great job there by PvP-Live. Yeah, I mean, they just kind of maintained. It's like I said, it's so hard to finish anyone off on that team.
Yeah.
You know, LGIM, you know, had some great kill chances there. They almost took down Thugonomics. He was so low. You know, the shield wall was up, but his last stand expired. He went down to about 30, 40k HP. So, you know, if they could have got a little bit more damage out, they would have been able to get that kill. And definitely a very evenly matched series.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say that myself. Like, we said that this match was probably one of the more evenly matched ones that we had so far, and it definitely looked like it from that game. I mean, sure, it's 1-0, right? It's not exactly over by any stretch of the imagination, but I have a feeling that this one might go on for a little while.
Definitely could. I mean, I definitely see this as a pretty back and forth game, and both teams looking very strong. You know, as that dampening did kind of ramp up, the advantage, in my opinion, does go to PvP-Live, and they showed that. You know, it starts to get kind of pretty tough on Shockey's mana. You know, he's going he was having to go for drinks, and even when he was standing up, he was having some more trouble healing through that because, you know, MS plus dampening, very, very strong. So the map pick is going to be Runes of Lordaeron here from the MLS, from LGIM, which makes sense. You know, it's a map that they probably feel like they can control the tomb, get a lot of CC on Danny Carey if he wants to play out there in the middle. But the Q has popped. We're inside the game. We're ready to get Game 2 underway.
All right, so let's go ahead and get some crowd interaction here. If you want to see PvP-Live take another game, give us a cheer.
And if you'd like to see LGIM battle back here and take Game 2, let's hear it.
Seems like
not too many Korean fans, man.
Yeah, it seems like PvP-Live has the majority rule at the moment.
Yeah. It would appear so, man. But the gate's going to be opening here any moment. We'll see. You know, if Shockey, Nuker, and Avenger are going to have anything to say about that, I'm sure they'd like to quiet the crowd a little bit. But for now, the hometown boys doing well.
Yeah, all right, so here we go, rushing out in there. Let's see if either Warlock is able to get, or if the one Warlock is able to get the gateway out. Yes, it did. He did manage to drop that down right into the middle like that. It is a weird map to try and get that gateway out, but already Avenger taking so much damage.
Yeah, he is. He's going to be caught in that Shockwave. I think that is a change. I don't believe that he was playing Shockwave last time, but we see a lot of pressure coming out onto Avenger already. Nuker has his Demon Soul pop. He's trying to spread those dots out, doing a good job of it. There's the Hex onto Thugonomics. It's going to be decursed by Novos. The MCS comes in. Will going to have to be used there by Danny Carey. He's into the Deep Freeze, though. Will the Sheep be able to follow that up? Doesn't look like it. There's just too much pressure onto Avenger. He was unable to get that off. We see Zwen once again pop instantly. The Shockwave comes out onto Avenger. No, never mind. It's not there. Temporal is going to be popped here. He's just trying to reduce as much damage as possible. Novos taking a little bit himself, but Danny Carey, you know, as I talked about, being so aggressive.
Yeah. It is a little bit, sorry, it does look like we're having a little bit of a glitch with our tournament UI at the moment. I apologize for that, but nonetheless, you can sort of see what's going on anyway. There it goes. Looks like things are starting to clear up a little bit. Avenger's still taking so much damage. He did try to get a polymorph off, but it did not look like it actually landed. Danny Carey was feared, but did manage to get out of there. He does have Will of the Forsaken just coming off of cooldown, but there's the Deep Freeze on him as well. And they're trying to go for something on Novos, it looks like. Yeah, they're taking doing a whole bunch of damage to Novos.
He's actually having to pop that Shaman while Danny Carey was able to use his trinket a little bit earlier, so he's not going to have that available. He does have Will up, though. Tremor going to be coming off cooldown here pretty shortly as well. Avenger now down about half HP. The ground is going to be dropped by Shockey, but he's going to get stuck into that in-cap. Is the leg sweep coming off that? No, doesn't look like it. So they're changing it up a little bit. Novos trying to get that damage out once again. We see the trinket going to be used on that Shockwave by Avenger. We have the temporal shield up, but will it be enough? He may have to block here. Yep, he goes into the block. We do see there's the trinket on the in-cap from Nuker. Nuker going to get out of that. There was a Hex on Shockey. It's going to be decursed by Avenger. They're trying to get something going on in Novos. They have to get some pressure out before Shaman Rage comes back up. They have 35 seconds.
Yeah, and looking at the mana on the healers again, you remember last game, both healers were getting pretty low on mana, but this time Danny Carey has a very strong lead.
Here's the orb, though. Deep comes out. It's going to be trinketed immediately by Novos. He knows he's in trouble. That is that window of opportunity that I was talking about before Shaman Rage is up. But can they get anything done? They still have 20 seconds. I'm just not sure that they're going to be able to get that damage out that they need. 15 seconds until is up, so they may have to wait, get through it again, and then go for the kill when he doesn't have trinket or Shaman Rage. But the problem is then Danny Carey has his trinket, so it's just this constant rotation of cooldown from PvP-Live. But there's the Howl coming out. Noah's actually going to Shaman Rage there. That was very preemptive.
I believe he may have actually used it for the mana regen because he was completely and totally dry at that point.
Yeah, well, and that could come back to haunt him. There's the coil coming out onto him. Are they going to be able to get the setup here? There's the will coming out from Danny Carey as well. So his trinket is on that internal cooldown. Can they get something going here? They need to do it. Novos taking quite a bit of damage. He is going to be the deep freeze onto Danny Carey. We see Novos AoE Spell Reflect coming out from Thugonomics, who's also taking some damage here. If they just need CC on Danny Carey, they have a lot of pressure coming out. Avenger's been sitting low, but Shockey's doing a great job keeping up. The Hex now trying to come out there from Novos. He's not able to get it off just yet, but we do see that Danny Carey once again topping his team back off.
Yeah, Danny Carey got feared there, but there was a great tremor, I believe, from Novos that managed to get him out of that fear in a hurry. Danny Carey has no CC breaks left at this point, so he needs anything he can to be able to continue to keep his team alive, but he's doing a great job of it so far, and it looks like the left side of the screen is all full, and the right side of the screen actually not too bad either.
Yeah, it's just the mana, once again, that seems to be the issue here. Shockey, down about 60,000 mana already, and we're not even at dampening yet. So will he be able to get a drink off here? We'll find out. Thugonomics, though, going to pop Bloodbath. He's going to pop his Trinket. He's going to have his Orc Racial up as well. There's the Shaman once again used by Novos. He's going to have to tremor that, but he tremors into a ring. There's a deep freeze on Danny Carey. Can the CC come off that? That would be huge. Full Sheep comes out. Novos could be in a little bit of trouble here. He's in a bit of an awkward position, but the dots aren't up, and they're not able to really get that pressure just because this Warrior is just glued to Avenger, and Avenger really having trouble getting the setup that he needs. We see the spell lock coming in, though, from Nuker onto Novos. Coil going to come out there onto Thugonomics. Will they be looking to swap it over on him? Perhaps. But Danny Carey, keeping everyone topped off and making it hard for this MLS.
Yeah, and we talk about Shockey possibly getting out to get a drink in, but where do you drink on this map? Where do you go exactly? It's so wide open. There's nowhere that's really safe except for way back in one of the openings. And if he goes back there, he's putting his team at
Here we go, though. The
risk.
damage going to be coming out. Full Icicles are up. There's the instant Trinket from Novos once again on that deep freeze, but he is taking a lot of damage still. Those Icicles are proccing out. He did drop the Healing Tide as well. Danny Carey coming out of that Chief now. His Trinket's going to be up once again in a couple of seconds, so it's just this constant rotation. We talked about how tanky this setup is, and they're really showing it. They're just kind of slowly riding LGIM into the ground.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we keep bringing up the mana, but you just watch that mana bar going farther and farther and farther down from Shockey. Avenger actually taking a whole bunch of damage there for just a second. Does get a ring off, though, and he will port out of there with the gateway. So he should be safe for the time being. That's a very nice ring place there for defensively. But it does leave Nuker out in the open. No, he's going to take the gateway over there as well.
Good choice, and he's got to resummon that pet anyway. Both players had lost their pets in those exchanges, so they are going to be able to resummon those back up. Nice Shockwave comes in on both the DPS, though, from Thugonomics. You can see he does still have that victory rush up from killing one of those pets earlier. Zerker Rage going to be used on that Howl. Deep Freeze on Novos. MCS on Danny Carey. No Dispel coming out, though. There's the CS to follow that up onto Novos. Avenger taking quite a bit of damage. The Frost Nova does come out. He's trying to get for a Shatter. Just trying to build up those Icicles once again. Avenger really liking to play that setup style, as I did talk about. You can see him cast Frost Bolts a lot more than the North American and European counterparts. He's really just trying to stack up those Icicles and go for these big burst kills. But so far, it really hasn't worked out. Unleash coming out from Novos. He's looking for that big burst. He has the Unleash up. He has his Racial up. Avenger going to get really, really low here. Temporal has been popped, but can they finish him off through it? He's getting a lot of healing from that right now, but Shockey having some trouble topping him back off. He's just constantly sitting at about half HP. There's the Paralyze onto Nuker. We do see that Thugonomics going to pop that Spell Reflect. His Frost Orb was used, and Ascendant's going to be popped here by Shockey. Leg sweep out onto Nuker there. Danny Carey just doing a good job locking him down.
It's so low. He's so low. He's taking so much damage. Did have to Ice Block, though, once again, and it will survive just a little bit longer.
Yep, and we did see the will used there by Danny Carey into the full sheep. Nice shot there by Avenger. The Palm Sheep does come out. Novo's going to pop that Shaman immediately. Nice reaction before the MCS comes out, so he's going to get that Shaman up. He does have his Trinket available once again here, and we are now into that dampening stage. We're at 6 minutes into the match, so it's starting to ramp up a bit. When we start getting a couple more minutes in, it becomes so hard, and you can see Shockey really, his mana really starting to hurt now. Avenger, though, so low here. Gonna have to blink away. Can he get out of there? He's down to 200k HP. He's gonna have to Trinket that charge stun. He's trying to get out of there. He does, but can Shockey actually top him back off? He's going for that Ring of Frost. He's going for the Polymorph now. He does fake the interrupt, I do believe. Now he's gonna get pummeled on it. And Avenger, he's just getting slammed into the ground here. And Thugonomics is going so offensive on him. He's just able to sit in battle. They're not really targeting him, so he has so much rage the whole game. And with dampening plus MS now, Shockey is and things are looking like it's pretty much over for LGIM.
Yeah, Avenger once again taking damage. Shockey just does not have the mana to be able to keep him alive at this point. There's another Ice Block out from Avenger, but how long can they really hold this on? There's a nice Frost Nova to root people in place, but is it going to last him long enough to keep alive? It looks like a Healing Tide goes down, but is it going to be what it is? Ooh, Spirit Link. Very nice Spirit Link there to be able to keep him alive just a little bit longer, but is it going to be enough?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, man. Thugonomics still just training away onto him, and they're just ignoring this Warrior, so he's allowed to do pretty much whatever he wants. We see that there's a swap over onto the Shaman. The frames, I'm not sure exactly what the HP of these players are right now, but there's the Deep Freeze onto Danny Carey. We see Dematerialize proccing once again. The Coil coming off that. Are they actually going to try to swap to him here, or is that just for CC? It looks like the frames have now caught up once again. Shockey down very low on mana. He's going to pop that Spiritwalker's Grace, trying to get out of there. 180k HP, paralyzed onto Avenger. It looks like this is going to be it. His all cooldowns are up, and Shockey surely going to go down. down here, and PvP-Live going to take another round.
Wow, that was another intense match. That one went on for, well, I mean, it's still going on, but 8 minutes. That's getting pretty deep into dampening territory at that point. And with how much mana Shockey had to spend early on just to keep his team alive, going into dampening at 80k mana is just terrifying. That is never a situation you want to be in as a healer.
Yeah, I mean, he's able to maintain a relatively low mana quite well, but the problem is just once dampening is added in there, man, it's just a little bit too much. It's like, 8 minutes or 3 minutes into dampening. Every 5 minutes, you're going to get 30% less healing. So, it was a pretty significant amount. We were at 15, 20% healing reduction plus, the MS from Mortal Strike. So that's a lot, man.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things I noticed during that match, since there was so much fighting that was happening around the tomb itself in the center there, the Gift of the Serpent, the mastery for Danny Carey, the Mistweaver monk, there was so many orbs around there. There was a couple times I saw Thugonomics would get low, and he'd just run through like a pack of 6 orbs and just heal himself back up like crazy.
Yeah, start Pac-Man, and every time your monk gets CC, you just go gobble up all the orbs, heal yourself to full. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a great job, and they're playing it pretty straightforward. They're not doing anything too fancy, but this is what they need to do. They just need to play safe. They need to keep pressure out, and that's exactly what they're doing. So I think that PvP-Live is playing exactly how they have to. There's no point in trying to get too fancy and trying to be too flashy with it, because they're playing kind of like a beat 'em up, grind 'em down type comp, but they're not playing the perfect CC, awesome burst. Type setup. They're just like, you see Danny Carey a lot of times now. He's playing a lot less aggressive than you would think. He's just CCing the Warlock, just kind of staying away. He just knows we live, we win.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we're now at 2-0. I know we called it to be a very close series overall. And honestly, the matches have been pretty close at a lot of different points.
Yeah.
But PvP-Live is just doing an incredible job against this Korean team.
Yeah, I mean, the second game, honestly, not as close as the first. And I think
for sure.
Partly that's because they're not really, they never targeted Thugonomics. If you let a warrior just kind of have free reign like that the whole game, I feel like it's a little too easy. It's like, if you're in battle stance the whole game, you have so much rage, you're just spamming out slams, and the amount of damage you're putting out, the amount of pressure you're putting out is just massive. So it's like, how is Avenger really going to be able to get what he needs to get done with a warrior sitting him on and just kind of having free reign? So I feel like they need to kind of mix up their strategy a little bit. They almost got a kill on Thugonomics in the first game, and especially because he's an inexperienced warrior. He's newer to the class, and we talked about people having the jitters and kind of crumbling under pressure sometimes and stuff like that. So it's like, if anyone's going to do it, it would probably be the person who's new to their class. You know what I mean? So I feel like maybe targeting him could be a pretty good choice, especially because you can start pulling him behind pillars and stuff like that, and at least kind of makes him scared a bit, so he has to pull back, change targets, things like that. It maybe gets Avenger some space to work with. And if he wants to overextend, I mean, if you catch him in a deep freeze into a coil in battle, you can kill him pretty fast. Yeah,
well, and the other side of that, too, is that when you're focusing the warrior, they have to go into defensive stance. When they're in defensive stance, they're dealing less damage. So not only are you focusing them down, sure, he gets really tanky at that point, but you're taking out a whole lot of damage that your team is taking at that point, which we're seeing Shockey having to spend so much mana just to keep his team alive. Maybe that would be a much better choice for him.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that it's like, at this point, they're kind of being a little bit too predictable. It's like they're going, only for Novos, and it's, I mean, they are doing it well, but at the same time, it's just, PvP-Live is just kind of rotating through their cooldowns, and it's like, you have to get through, you have Will of Forsaken, you have PvP Trinket, you have Tremor, you have, I can't even think what the other, what's the other monk Fear Break called? I can't think what it's called right now.
Nimble Brew, I believe.
You have Nimble Brew. So that's a lot of Fear Breaks. I mean, the monk has 3 alone, plus Tremor is on a relatively short cooldown. So that's 4, man. That's 4 Fear Breaks alone. Plus you have groundings, plus you have shocks. It's like, there's so many ways to get out of the CC, and they just have to use some cooldowns, and it's like, even when then he has nothing left, or he decides he doesn't want to use it, then Novos can Trinket, Novos can Sham Rage, and he can use his Healing Tide. They're doing a great job of rotating, and I think the MLS needs to be less predictable and make them kind of question when to use their cooldowns. But anyway, guys, we are all queued up, and the choice is going to be Tolvaron Arena. That's a big spread out arena, so kind of the opposite of what they chose last time. Maybe feeling like now they need to just kind of like spread it out a little bit, capitalize on bad positioning. So we'll see if LGIM is going to be able to start a comeback, or if PvP-Live is going to close things out here in Game 3.
Yeah, I like Tolvaron Arena a lot. Aside from the fact that it's just kind of pretty, which is it's not important for the game overall, but I like playing in pretty places. But I also like the layout of it with the sort of like asymmetrical pillar rotation. It's really always interesting to see how people actually play it here. And it looks like we're not going to get a gateway out.
Yeah, he actually
Nuker.
did get charged on that. You know, the deep freeze a split second too late, and that's actually pretty big. And the death quill going to get reflected as well. Nice start there for Thugonomics. Has to be frustrating for Nuker. He's actually going to port. Has his Demon Soul up. He goes for the Demon Soul gateway. Nice job. The offensive ring going to be coming down here though. Blade Storm, Bloodbath, all cooldowns being popped here by Thugonomics. He's looking to try to get some huge pressure out. So far, not that effective though. We have the Paralyze out onto Avenger. Danny Carey into the full sheep. We have the Spearwalker's Grace pump there by Novos, who is trying to get some pressure out. Avenger now into that end cap. We do see Nuker going to get out of there, but here comes Thugonomics with the heroic leap.
Yeah, and he's just sort of chasing him around all over the place at this point. It looks like he's just able to stick on him like crazy right now, just continually dealing damage as much as possible to Nuker right now. It's a little hard to tell exactly how much is going on at the moment, but it's definitely looking very, very scary. You see Danny Carey off there in the corner. He's just hiding behind the wall. He doesn't care. Yeah. He's just going to pop out.
Here comes the setup, though. There's the deep freeze onto Danny Carey. They're trying to get this damage rolling. 5 icicles are up here, you know, on Avenger, so he really does want to get that pressure going. The full sheep comes out on Danny Carey. They weren't able to Spell Reflector shock that. There's the orb onto Thugonomics, it looked like, and he was going to be death coiled as well, but not too much coming out there. There was the life